Good morning, everybody. Everything new under the sun. Bible says there will be wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. You can go read Matthew chapter 24 and read about that. But what we do know is coming, and so we should expect wars and rumors of wars. But what we do know is coming is pestilence, wars, rumors of wars. We know that economic collapse is coming and great famine. These are spoken of in the seven seals of Revelation, specifically the first four, the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Now, the rapture happens in the sixth seal, just before the wrath of God comes. You can see the seal there. The sixth seal relates to heavenly signs. Go read Revelation chapter 6. It's really the timeline of the last days. I believe we are nearly in it, if not in it already. I think the four horsemen of the apocalypse will be a slow-moving, slow rollout sort of event when the four horsemen ride. They're going to be overlapping, and there's going to be spool up time. These things don't just come out of nowhere. There's going to be spool up time. There's going to be things happening prior to that will give you an indication that we're on our way there. And I think everybody agrees that, boy, it certainly looks like we are. Could the pandemic have been the first seal? Could very well be. I think we'll wait and see. The severity of it wasn't of, well, I mean, you could argue it was of biblical proportions. It was a worldwide phenomenon, just like the flood. When biblical, prophetically biblical things happening in terms of God's judgment, they are worldwide events. They're not just regional events. Again, that's when God's judgment, God's wrath, such as the flood of Noah, is occurring. It's a worldwide event, not just focused on a specific nation or a specific area. Now, his wrath does come on specific people groups as well, but that's not what we're talking about in these last days. We're talking about the final judgment, and so the things that are upcoming, the force from the apocalypse, are going to be a worldwide phenomenon. So the pandemic indeed could be that the first seal there, and certainly we should see these seals coming. If there's world war, we should see that coming. If there's a worldwide famine, we should see that coming. We should see prices getting higher. We should see supply chains breaking down. We should see, crop failures, and that's exactly what we see. When it speaks of economic collapse and pestilence, which is the fourth seal in the top left corner there, you should see that coming. What are the scientists in Wuhan and United States and Canada working towards? Well, they're working on a bird flu. They were working on a coronavirus, similar to COVID-19. Many nations had their hands in the pot of that coronavirus. It wasn't just China. There was funding by, again, the United States, Fauci himself and his folks there. And indeed, viruses and spies were in the Winnipeg lab in Canada, all related to the Wuhan lab. So we're all complicit. It's not one country. So let's get into the news and talk about Israel, because Israel is kind of the key piece, the linchpin, if you will, to world events. The country that you need to watch, as is Syria. Why? Because we believe that the Antichrist will cause sacrifices to cease when he comes to power. And that means if sacrifices have ceased, that means there will have been a third temple in place. And if there's a third temple, there's also the idea of a peace deal for 7 years. And if that's the case, there has to be a world war of some sort for the whole world to come together, agree on selecting this world leader, electing him, whatever it may be, giving him power. The whole world will have to be on its knees and desperate for that to be the case. Because what country, what citizens of what country are going to give up their national sovereignty to accept a world government? Well, currently none, but they're certainly working towards that. And the four horsemen of the apocalypse bring the world to its knees via the great deception, the great war, the famine, the pestilence that comes out of the four horsemen. All right, enough said about that. That's the setup. War in 2024. We're in the middle of it. It started with the Ukraine, Russia, and the new theater is kicking up. So when will Israel strike back? We're going to talk about that. This is War News 247 again. Resurrected from the dead again. This channel has went down twice, and this is the third time it's brought back up in my count. So I'm not sure what's happening, but it's an interesting source. I'm not sure where they're getting their information, but interesting source of information, and it doesn't seem far off. So Israel is preparing its response to an attack launched by Iran, as the country's war council has taken a decision to launch an attack against Tehran. In fact, information indicates that it intends to directly attack the territories of Iran. Now, this is dated April 17th. So, because of the attack from Iran, unprecedented, Israel's going to attack Iran proper. What are they going to do attack? Well, fuel and oil tank warehouses, military installations, nuclear facilities. This could be their opportunity to go after Iran's, sprint for nuclear warheads. Senior officers of the Revolutionary Guard, and they've been hitting those already in Syria, and hitting Iranian facilities in other Middle Eastern countries. So, a fourth war council is expected to take place from the day of the Iran attack, while at the same time diplomacy is underway. Now, apparently, Israel has been convinced a couple times to not strike Iran. This is War News 247 again, that Kim Jong-un is preparing for biological warfare. So he's doing his part. He has nuclear weapons, and he is working on biological warfare. Now, this is a scary bit when you talk about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. The first seal, which seems to be an indication, of potentially biowarfare. And again, the pestilence in seal 4, again, possibly biowarfare, viruses, these sorts of things. And he is working towards that, and that's really the scariest, because it's something, humans, it affects them personally, right? Just like the pandemic did. Pandemic scared a lot of people because it affects your person. It's not some thing happening over in the Middle East, but it actually gets you. So this is, I think, far and away kind of the easiest way to bring fear in the hearts of citizens of any country. And also, it allows the government to take significant control because people don't know what to do. As reported by British newspaper, Pyongyang regime already has an arsenal capable of causing chaos and terror in the region. In the latest estimate, Pyongyang's weapons of mass destruction, U.S. officials said Kim Jong-un, intentionally isolated country, has developed sprays and poison pens that can transmit deadly diseases. So what are they working on? COVID-19 was a half-baked weapon of mass destruction, biological destruction. Do they have any fully baked ones? Do they have any that are ready to give out there? I think they likely have lots. So in North Korea, the weapons are said to be designed to spread germs like smallpox, to contaminate with anthrax, while some experts believe they are more dangerous than the country's nuclear weapons program. And I would agree, nuclear weapons are limited. They're kind of a one-off effect in most cases, although there is fallout. But when you start taking down, millions of people with disease and all these sorts of things, that's another level of really fear and anxiety, where people will, once their physical person is affected, they will give control to the governments, to their government. In the U.S., in Canada, when your personal property is affected, you will give all control over to the government to say, please fix this for me, government. So that's an easy way for governments to gain control, and an easy way for other countries to terrorize and quickly bring down the morale of another country. Israel reportedly won't attack until after Passover. We're going to talk about this. When is Passover? So they've been... the U.S. has went and talked to Netanyahu, and so many leaders actually flew to Israel because Netanyahu wasn't answering his phones, apparently. And they kept telling him, basically take the win and don't retaliate because they don't want World War III. Well, Israel will probably hold off retaliating until the Jewish holiday of Passover, as past ABC News reported Wednesday. Is this a good time, indeed, to wait for the weekend when the markets are closed? This is what they look to be aiming for again. But Passover goes until April 30th. We're going to take a look at that. Passover will begin this Monday, just over a week after Iran attacked with hundreds of drones and missiles in response to alleged Israeli strike that killed several Iranian officers in Damascus, Syria. So then the question is, well, when is Passover? Well, here is Chabad.org. Passover begins Sunday, April 21st, so this coming Sunday. And when does it end? Well, it ends on April 30th, or the 22nd of Nisan. So, if they're going to give the Jews, and this would be a good idea for the Jews, it's a good idea because if they retaliate now, Iran is likely going to retaliate during Passover. But if they wait until the end of Passover, then they can get this, religious holiday done and over with. Iran has done a strike, so it's not going to strike again, likely. And this would, give them this holiday in general peace. And May 1st, of course, is the day after the holiday there. But that being the case, it could also be a bluff where Iran, thinks that Israel's not going to do anything because of Passover, but maybe just at the end of Passover or at the beginning of it, they do a strike and Iran doesn't know. I feel like they're going to wait until the end of Passover. I feel like they're going to give their people that holiday. The Israeli leadership, the IDF, already came out and said it. I said in the prior video, where they came out and said, you know what, we're going to give some time for the holidays, and they trust that their people are ready and ready to be activated if necessary, but give them some time with their families and for holidays. So I think they're going with that at this point. They will strike at some point. It's probably going to be a cyber attack. Again, they want to do something just enough so that Iran feels it, but not enough that Iran wants to go nuclear. Both, they're playing tit for tat, but neither state wants to go nuclear. This is OSINT Defender on Twitter. It says, several U.S. and Israeli officials have now stated that Israeli retaliatory strike had been postponed at least twice since the initial Iranian attack occurred Saturday night, with the most recent time being Monday, when Israel told officials that the decision would be made during the day's meeting under the war cabinet. Though afterward, they stated they had decided to wait. This other comment 16 hours ago from Dreamspace says, well, they were waiting until the end of the option expiration on Friday. It refers to the economic options expiration on the stock market Friday. Again, waiting for the weekend. And this is the thing. Likely they've been told by Biden and others, you know what, you're going to crash the economic system if you do it during the week. Do it on a weekend when the markets are closed. It's a convenient time for everybody. And that's why they did the strike last weekend, because it was a convenient time. I'm sure they were told by Biden to do it, because otherwise the world economy would crash if that happened. So interesting there. This is an interesting one about U.S. surveillance. You talk about 1984 and the book of total government control, total surveillance. And if we're there already with cell phones. They're recording everything, but now they're getting laws in place that make it legal. The U.S. isn't just reauthorizing surveillance laws; it's vastly expanding them. This is The Guardian. House of Representatives agreed to reauthorize controversial spying law known as Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act without any meaningful reforms, dashing hopes that Congress might finally put a stop to intelligence agencies' warrantless surveillance of Americans. Remember, the U.S. intelligence agencies aren't supposed to spy on their own citizens, but they are now spying on their own citizens and getting a law in place so they can continue this going forward with full legal backing. The vote not only reauthorized the act, it also vastly expanded surveillance of that law enforcement can conduct. In a move that Ron Wyden condemned as terrifying, the House also doubled down on a surveillance authority that has been used against American protesters, journalists, and political donors in a chilling assault on free speech. Folks, you are not free anymore. The government is watching everything you say and do, and they're tracking you via your cell phone. You are in a 100% surveillance state right now in Canada, in the U.S. Even my iPad that I have, sitting beside me. It is tracking me when I take it somewhere. It connects to Wi-Fi networks all along the way, and there's a breadcrumb trail of pings of IP addresses that they can track. They watch every single message. They watch every single AI watches, listens to every single YouTube video, so they know the general sense of where people are going, what people are thinking, what people are saying. So I'm on a list, that's for sure. So you're in a surveillance state, folks. Do with that what you will. Our time, right now, YouTube, places like this and Rumble are honeypots. Basically, the government surveillance allow people to say things there right now because they can track them. It's a better way to monitor, to know, to let people speak openly and make them feel like they're free to say stuff. But if they go too far, they can quickly get you and pull a video, pull audio, pull a Twitter, whatever, a post, whatever it may be, and take you to court based on that. So a honeypot just is an easy place where people think they can say stuff, and the intelligence agencies are all over that. They know exactly what you're saying and recording it all. If they lock down spaces, they push people into the fringe, into more encrypted channels, which are which are harder to record and locate. So they keep these places open like Twitter, so that you and I go into them and say stuff, so that when the time comes, when they have a certain law that now they can go after you about, maybe the hate laws in Scotland, for example, they can go back in the history and see all the social media posts, and that's exactly what they're doing. All right, this is upcoming in Germany. You can switch your gender once a year. Annual gender switch. German government allows citizens to change their gender on legal documents every year. So thanks to the German government, you can change it once a year if you want. I'm sure there's going to be protests, and they're going to make this every 6 months, and then it's going to be every day you can switch your gender. And I can already see the protests going up against this to allow people to change their gender as often as they want, and to be condoned by German government. Now here's one. This is Epoch Times. Modified RNA in the you-know-what may contribute to cancer development. There's a study out. Lots of people reporting on this. There's lots of indication from cancer doctors. Go watch Dr. John on YouTube, Dr. John Campbell. He has many. He's had several hosts on speaking about this. It seems that like there's turbo cancers that are coming up, and it's because of this mRNA situation. And it says the mRNA used in the you-know-what has been modified from its naturally occurring form to prevent degradation of the immune system when injected. In a review published April 5th, researchers argue that modification, specifically N1-methyl pseudoridine modification to mRNA, causes immune suppression that may contribute to cancer development. There's a line there. However, research suggests that this modification may reduce immune responses. So this AID, was it? No, I forget. Immunodeficiency. I forget what. You know what I'm talking about. I forget the terminology. It's morning. It's early. Acquired immunodeficiencies. That's what AIDS stands for. Acquired immunodeficiency. And this mRNA is acting just like that in the body. So, when people said originally that it was causing AIDS and all these sorts of things, the first thing people thought about was homosexuality and that sort of thing. They're directly infecting you with some sort of AIDS from that. I got to be careful what I say. But the actual details of what that is, acquired immunodeficiency, that's just a suppression of your immune system. So basically that you get sicker more often, and your body can't locate and attack cancer cells and deal with them as it used to. So it's causing the rate of cancer to increase. My channel is going to get shut down, I tell you what. Researchers confirmed mRNA suppress immune system response, stimulates. There you go. You can read it. You can Google this yourself. You can find these. This is the gatewaypundit.com. This is mainstream. Common knowledge now. It's out there. These studies are there. Now, of course, you don't hear them on the mainstream media because they're still pushing. You know what? It's incredible. It's that, truth is coming out, and truth will always, in the end, win. But you're going to lose a lot of privacy. You're going to lose a lot of freedoms because of this. The governments have put their foot down on this stuff. They've been paid off, whatever it may be. People aren't willing to tell the truth, and there's going to be Nuremberg trials, I'm sure. But should the Lord tarry, they're not going to come for 5, 10, 20 years from now because there's so much money involved in this right now that are really causing, and they don't want any anti-vaxxers. In the name of public health and safety, they don't want any bad things to be said about this. It's incredible, and it's scary that we are in a world like this. But you're losing your freedom, folks. If you live in Canada, you're losing your freedom. If you live in the United States, you're losing your freedom. When do you make the decision to leave the country? That's up to you. If and when you do that, as Russia went from what was generally free, Iran as well. Iran was very open and free and liberal, until they moved towards Turkey as well. Until they moved towards a dictatorship sorts of governments. When do you choose to leave? You just kind of sit there like a frog in boiling water until you're finally in a completely communist, authoritarian, totalitarian state. So pay attention, folks, to what's happening. And I don't even know where you'd move anyways. That is free anymore. Maybe Mexico, something like that. It's a different sort of free. You have freedom, but you have no safety, and that's really it. As civilians and societies form and grow up, they go from lack of security, and they have to deal with their own. They have to provide their own security, to depending on the government for all the security, but then the government owns you and tells you what to do and brings lots of significant laws on you. That's the Tytler cycle of history. And what will people do most of the time? They will always give up their freedom for more security. And that's what we will do in the last days. We will give up our freedom for more security. When the next virus comes, pandemic, we will give up our security. When the next country attacks us, we will give up our security. We will give up our freedom for security more. And that's what happens, with women as well, the single mothers. They will always give up their freedom for more security from the government. That's a whole conversation about having solid men in a relationship and marriages, and being the protector, because if the woman can't find a protector in a man, or doesn't have it because the man has ran away, they're going to go to the government to act like their husband effectively and to provide that protection. So thanks for watching. I'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next video.